Okay, everyone, welcome to the last installment of our Membership Mondays in May. The usual folks are joining us live here, but to those of you who are watching this on our recorded version later on, welcome to you as well. We figured that three times in a row listening to me talk might get a little redundant for some of you. So tonight we're going to hear from Sarah. Sarah is going to do a lot of this, mainly because it deals with technology, and I would not do well with that too. But it's always good to hear from our governor. So Sarah, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Matt. Do you guys see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, club listing. All right. Okay. Yes. So this is the last series session for this workshop. And of course, move this along. We've gone through the three, why we're boosting, really preparing, which is the big, really the big portion of boosting part. And then in implementation, we talked about how to implement all the plans that you have last week. So this week, we're going to talk about electronic and virtual tools. Basically the technology part of it, the way how you can use technology to help recruit and brand yourself in the community. So we're going to talk about some virtual resources. So tonight we're going to talk through, I have a lot to cover. So video conferencing, club websites, branding with Canva and social media, press releases, online membership form, and electronic payment methods. So we will talk through this and how each of these can be used in to make recruiting members or sharing Kiwanis easier for you. So again, you know, technology does not have to be scary. I know people are scared sometimes to use all this. They rather just use a form, but there's just different reasons why we want to incorporate some technology into our boosting efforts. So listing here, obviously technology really has become an important way for us to connect. Right, you know, right now we're on Zoom, and we wouldn't be able to have this. I mean, everybody traveling to some location, you know, this is so much easier, more convenient. So this helped us definitely during the pandemic, and also as we are now. Okay. But regardless of technology, you know, clubs still need to, regardless of all this technology that I'm going to talk about tonight, you still need to be prepared, you know, have the preparation components that we discussed in the previous parts. So before you start inviting members into Kiwanis. So the key things for success, we just to recap everything we kind of went through in the first three, you know, we talked about people join because of people, and that's a very key ingredient. You know, there's joining, and there's that sense of belonging. That's really what keeps our members happy, and they're willing to share Kiwanis once they feel they belong to a club. You know, we want to show that Kiwanis is a value to everyone. So there's the tangible and the non-tangible benefits we know about, and the value, really evaluating that value proposition for a member to join. Like, what is their benefit? So that is something that we've taught about, sharing your why. We talked a little bit about curb appeal, that being from making sure your club, you know, we can fix what's not working in your club. Maybe it's the date, the time, the location of your meetings. Maybe it's your due structure. Maybe there's we don't have a signature service project. So all these things need to be resolved before, as you're bringing in new people, because we don't want to look. We want to make sure we're presenting our best foot forward. And of course, always sharing your why. What is that, your club's why? We talked about our why. Now, what is your club's why? What are they known for in that community? And share that. So that's really our keys to success, or keys to success for inviting. So with that, once you get all those components together, now we can take a look at some technology that would help us be able to reach our intended targets. So obviously video conferencing, many of you know about this. Obviously, we're on Zoom platform, but video conferencing now is a standard tool to conduct business without travel. It just really rose to popularity, obviously, as we were all shut down through the pandemic, but it also still remains as a vital tool for businesses. This is how Pennsylvania Kiwanis District operates as well. We no longer have to meet 4 times a year in person. We only have to do it 2, and we can utilize Zoom as for meetings that otherwise would be in person. So it helps with traveling for everybody. So there is some benefits there. Obviously, right now clubs are meeting online and in a hybrid model, and that's okay. So we want to be able to provide that option. So some popular tools is a freeconferencecall.com. So those are something we recommended for non-tech savvy, like if they're afraid of using Zoom or GoToMeeting, you can always have a meeting with a free conference call phone number and just have it on the phone. This might work well if you have an elderly club that is just really tech challenged and this is overwhelming for them, Zoom and GoToMeeting. Options freeconferencecall.com is free and it's just a phone number and everyone just dials in. It's pretty simple. Zoom still has that basic free for 40 minutes. The district has a license and that's what we're using. The GoToMeeting also requires a license requirement. So there are costs involved if you want to upgrade to the higher platform for Zoom and also for GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting from the get-go is not free, so there's not a free option. And then Google Meet is free. If you have a Gmail account, it is part of the Google Suite. It's called Google Meet. And I have a little picture here where on the bottom left of if you have Gmail, on the bottom left of your screen, when you do email, you can start a meeting and join a meeting with just a click of a button. So many businesses are using that as well. So there's all these different options you can use for attracting new members. So attracting new members, some ideas when you're looking to recruit, if you do have a virtual event and using a video conferencing tool, you want to maybe look into a speaker series that is interesting to, having topics that are interesting, that are engaging, dynamic, something topical. In my club just recently, we did something on, we have a company called Mother Compost in our community. So we did we did a session on composting because as we're getting into the spring season, people are starting to plant. So we had them on and we actually got a potential member from that because they saw it on our Facebook and said, can I get the link? Because they were interested in that topic. So it is a way to attract different members if you have different speakers that might be of interest to those prospects. Think about also speakers from organizations that you want to partner with, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, things like that. Community leaders and school personnel, invite them as well. The virtual aspect of this appeals to the busy people that can't meet in person. So that's another reason to do video conferencing. Virtual open house. We talked about open house in a previous session, and that is something you can invite people to a Zoom, but I would keep those to 30 minutes max, just to keep it short and sweet, to get information about your club. We're trying to do this for Northside new club opening, where they tried to do a virtual session, just get people on, talk about Kiwanis and answer any questions. It can be that simple, or you can be elaborate like Bald Eagle Nittany Valley did. They had a speaker come on and hosted. But either way, regardless if you have a virtual open house or a in-person open house, there's a lot of that follow-up that we talked about that needs to happen. You need to follow up and make sure people are attending either one of those. So that doesn't change with technology. Meeting with community leaders. This is a great video conferencing is a great tool also to meet with those community leaders. We did this in Danville for the Danville opening. We worked and had teams meet with these community leaders and business owners via Zoom instead of meeting in person. So it's a great alternative, especially for business owners who are very busy. So this will be great. So those are just some options of why this works for attracting the new members. There's a couple do's and don'ts that I really do want to stress on this. You want to make sure that if you have a Zoom, you want to start on time. I didn't start on time, it was 7:03, so I apologize. I was giving people time to get into the Zoom. So you always want to make sure you start on time because everyone's time is valuable. You want to ensure everyone knows the purpose of the meeting, make it very clear what we're doing. You want to make sure when you do this as video conferencing, and you want to ensure that everyone has that technology requirements prior. When we did the mid-year, we sent out numerous communications about we're going to utilize breakout rooms. And in order to participate in this, you need to have a Zoom 5.2 or higher, the client. So those type of directions are needed. You want to make sure that people can get onto it. As a presenter or a host, you want to make sure you're logged in at least 15 minutes beforehand, just to ensure there's no technical issues, that you can share your slides. We did this often. Matt and I are probably logged in like 15 minutes before, and we keep people in the waiting room until we're ready. This just makes sure that we can have all our technical issues handled. So that's something we recommend for your club as well, because you want to present that best foot forward when you have especially guests and new prospects. It's helpful to have a co-host in obviously in the Zoom, because just right now, like as I'm presenting, I'm not looking at the chats or I'm not looking at the waiting room. So Matt is my co-host today. So hint, hint, look at the waiting room, Matt. So, but it's always helpful because if you're presenting and maybe I'm talking and then no one can hear me. So you also want to have that second person saying, hey, you cut out, something like that. So it's always good to have that. Recording sessions if you do record sessions, some things to remember. We are recording, and you saw that Zoom now does, when we're recording, a notice that says we are recording, and you have to hit, you understand, or you got it, the button. Before, you always have to announce it because you want to make sure everyone knows it's recorded. And then hybrid meetings. When you do hybrid meetings, what that means, you have people on camera. I mean, you're on the Zoom, but then you have people in person. You want to make sure, number one, that you are in a facility, in a venue that allows for that. And number two, just making sure that they are in a position, if I'm on Zoom, you want to make sure the people on the Zoom do feel included. You want to make sure your meeting should be welcoming and inclusive. So if they're on Zoom and then we have a group, you want to make sure that it's in a place that they can hear and you can hear them, and that they can be included in the conversation. So going to a diner and having a meeting and just throwing a laptop on the table is not a great scenario. While that's easy, it's like you can't really hear, and then there's a lot of distractions, and maybe some side of the table are talking and you can't hear. So keep that in mind. You always want to make sure, even being that welcoming, inclusive environment, even online. And then themes and engagement. You want to make sure that you have, there's so many things that we have for engagement, on here. You utilize the Zoom tools. There's polls, breakout rooms, studio effects, backgrounds. I mean, feel free to play around with that and utilize that. Like here's a quick poll. It just gets your audience engaged. So this would be a great question, right? You guys see it? Where should I go after September 30th? This is actually a conversation I just had prior to this call, because my friends and I are looking to go on our birthday week. That's right, Mike. I'm thinking birthday month, Mike. So, so we're looking at that. But this is just also just to give you an example of how you can engage with, if you're doing an open house, like do some fun like questions like this, and see if, and just get people engaged. All right. So we would share adults. Everyone wants me to go to Italy. We are looking at a Mediterranean cruise, so that's possible. Okay, so that's just an example of just how you can engage and be, you're in, Barb. So this is just different ways to engage. So make sure you do that. All right. All right, your club. So obviously your club, your Kiwanis Club is, we've talked about, is the best kept secret in the community because we need to brand and really advertise our club. We're just so humble about it sometimes. So we need to come up with a brand strategy. And the reason we do is, we talk branding as a tool and a resource to strengthen your club. But we need to understand how can we improve our club presence online and in the community. People don't know about us that well. If they do, who knows what they have done. So, how we can improve our presence, and when you do any advertising, what are you, or putting up an event, what is your hope that you're accomplishing? Obviously, we're talking about recruitment, so that would be our focus tonight, but think about those events, think about your meetings, and who are your audience and who you're trying to reach, because that also dictates what platform to be using, and we'll talk about that in a bit. It is important to make sure that our branding, especially on social media, and we'll go through this, is very, very concise and clean. Even the club websites, they say that you only get 1.7 seconds before they start scrolling on to make that first impression. So it's very important that we put our best foot forward, our best pictures, our best images, things of that nature. All right, branding, to create the public awareness, why it's we talked about a little bit why it's important. We just want to make sure that Kiwanis brand is associated with positive results. How we're recognized globally and how we're recognized locally is important. So, globally, like we use this example a lot because I love Starbucks, which it's ironic. I was just telling my husband, everyone always gets me Starbucks gift cards. I have $100 worth of Starbucks gift cards. And because I haven't been to work on campus, they just sit here because I don't go out. It's crazy. But I know that when I see this mermaid, it's Starbucks. It's a brand. It's a logo, right? Many clubs are still using the old logo with the bird cage. We often refer to it as the bird cage. The new branded logo is one to the right. And this has been in place since at least 2016, when they, even actually earlier than that, for that. So the Kiwanis brand, they changed the logo to provide a cleaner and modern feel to that. We want to ensure that our logos are the same across the board. And our public relations committee has done a really great job at policing that this year and letting lieutenant governors and clubs know when they see the wrong logo or the wrong use of logo. Meaning, if they use this new logo and maybe did not use it correctly, we've seen it stretched out, we've seen it like different ways or added. So there's things that you have to be careful, and you want to make sure you're going to Kiwanis.org/brand. It has a brand book, and if you're not clear on what those are, check that out. And also, if the clubs don't have a custom logo, go here as well, and you can have a custom logo just like our club here. It says Kiwanis Club of the Main Line. You can do that for all your clubs, and it's free. So definitely check out Kiwanis.org/brand if you haven't. And Matt's I'm going to be putting these links that I talk about in the chat for you. You'll get this PowerPoint as well. Okay, so places that you want to advertise. Obviously, there's a community of road signs. If you go to the Kiwanis store, they actually sell them. They're from small to large. It's from $33 to $225, really how large you want to get it. So those are great. You see them all over. I think they're great every time I see them. So I would love to see more because I've been traveling all over. So I spot them though. Obviously, other places to advertise, your club websites for sure, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, obviously, and flyers. We're going to talk a little bit about that later, but flyers are still a great way to use it, but you want to make it electronic as well. Local newspapers and articles and ads, there is still a good way to go, obviously with press releases, and local TV and radio ads. It's not out of reach. Some local markets will give you space for an ad. Utilize that. Again, it's depending on the market. I think the Philly market might be a little harder than other markets, as an example, but it depends. All right, so let's talk about that club website. Club websites. It's really it's a great virtual front door for your club. And you want to make sure that it provides information on your club. And if you have one, make sure that it's up to date, number one, and make sure that you provide info on your club, because people are looking for you. So you want to definitely have, where are you meeting? When are you, when, where, and all that information. And maybe have examples of your service projects, because that's always great. But you always want to keep it updated, because if you're looking for even businesses and you see their websites and the last thing you saw on there was in 2019, you kind of wonder if they're even doing anything. And sometimes you'll just go to another business or another, look for another organization because you don't think they're there. So you want to make sure your website is updated. Now, if you don't have one, Kiwanis has a free website. They can host a free website. You need to fill out it's a free club website form, and it's on pakiwanis.org at new-club-website, which Matt put in there. If you have to do a domain name, so if you look at our pakiwanis.org site, and I point that out, it's because that is the template that all the clubs will have. It's on a WordPress platform. It's an easy to use website platform. It's like editing Microsoft Word for the most part. You don't really need to be majorly like a technical person or coding. You're not coding anything. Kiwanis International has prepared these templates for you, and you just really have to replace things. And just add some pictures and things of interest on there. But if you don't have a website, definitely check out this form, and it's free. We talked about that. And we have free training. That's a link there. A wiki site that Kiwanis has provided for free training from top to bottom on how to set it up, to how to organize it. It's a great, and the videos are on there are great. Highly recommend. Okay. And just so you see it, when you go to pakiwanis.org and click under, I think it's under education, and then club website, and then this form will pop up. It's the interest form from Kiwanis International, and it's a simple, very simple number of questions there. The one thing you do need to know is who is the main contact, who is going to be the webmaster, because that's who they send all the information to. So I would not put the president on here unless they are the ones that are going to do the work on the website. Okay, so that's the one caveat for that. And thanks, Mary, on that. Okay. All right. We're going to move to social media. So why is social media important? There's many reasons. So Pew Research Center began tracking social media. I looked at their research, and social media adoption in 2005 was just 5% of American adults. And then 5% of us used some social media platform back in 2005. But by 2011, that has risen to about half of all Americans. And as of today, 72% of the public use some sort of social media. So that's a huge population. And by age, if we look at that by age, so this is information from Pew Research Center, and it as of February 8th, 2021. So the bottom line here is ages for people who are 65 and older. 45% of them are on social media. And the second line up from that is 50 to 64-year-olds, or 73% of them, look at that rise, are on social media. And of course, 30 to 49-year-olds, 81% are on social media, and 18 to 29, the biggest one, is 84% of them are on social media. So if you recall the stats on ages that Matt presented in one of the sessions, I think it was an average new Kiwanian is 48 years old. So that is in this gap of 81% of them have social media. So this is why it's important. We want to get those people. 81% of them have social media. So this is one of the reasons why we want to look at that. But we also need to understand the audience. So know your audience. There's so many popular platforms out there. I listed here the several hot ones: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, which is interesting. But if you are doing Kiwanis crafts or Kiwanis projects, there's different Kiwanis boards out there. So check it out. LinkedIn for business, but we want to get business folks in. And Nextdoor and Patch.com are websites that you kind of like a community electronic board. Rather than you taking the flyer and posting it at the library or at a grocery store, this is the next best thing, is electronically. So here's some more stats here from the Pew Research Center. We have, this is kind of breaking it down by age too, because all these popular platforms, and it can get overwhelming. So what do we use? What we should be using based on who we're trying to target? So, you know, like I said, the new Kiwanian, the average age is 48. So if you look at the highlight on the first column, there 77% of them are Facebook users. So that to me means we need to be on Facebook more. All the clubs should have at least a Facebook account. Also, you know, 73% are 50 to 64-year-olds, and that's a growing population there. So that needs to be, you can utilize Facebook for that. But we also want to capture those millennials, the younger, but they're really not as, they like Facebook, but they're mostly on Instagram and honestly Snapchat. Instagram and Snapchat have been the two that this age group utilizes. So I'm going to show you how to, I'm going to talk about a little bit about that, but Instagram is really visual if you're not familiar with it, but that's where they're at. I can tell you from working with Circle K, none of them use Facebook. They said to me they don't understand it, which is like odd to me. They're all on Instagram. So when I have to find out, when I look for meetings or any of their events, I have to go to Instagram to look for information for my Circle Kers. So it's an interesting tool. So we got to know our audience. So the purpose overall really of those platforms, so you just understand, you know, Facebook, we just normally, I see that you're staying connected with friends and family and then finding groups to connect with. And that's where Kiwanis' sweet spot is to really create our pages and our groups to be able to find these people. Twitter, it's really more in real-time info for an event. It should be very short and concise when you talk about that. Usually when there's a big concert or a big event, you know, you can do play-by-play on Twitter on what is happening. So that's real-time info. LinkedIn, as I said, mostly it's for people, business people. We're trying to get hired or looking for a job. But it has been, Kiwanis wants to target businesses and people in the workforce that would possibly want to give back to the community. So this is a great avenue for Kiwanis clubs to post in as well. I know my one club has a LinkedIn page for Kiwanis Club of University City, so we try to do that. But one thing we need to do is make sure we're posting more. So that is another thing, upkeep. And of course, Instagram, we just talked about, this is where the younger generation are using this tool more. It's a great place to be inspired with photos, but because photos are required, or videos. So there's these beautiful pictures, things that you can, you know, show about Kiwanis. That's one place to put it. I do want to mention that YouTube and one of the studies, Facebook and YouTube were like neck and neck in terms of usage. Obviously, when you go through, you'll see a lot of people watching the videos. So it's a great way to show, so a Kiwanis club on YouTube is a great way to show your club activities and promote an event using a video. I've seen it done and it's great. It's a great tool. And Pennsylvania YouTube, we do have a Pennsylvania YouTube channel. We do have a lot of things recorded there. So that is also posted. So check it out. This including this recording for tonight. Our recording will be on our YouTube channel along with the other videos. Right now, I think I have part 1 and 2 up there, and 3 and 4 will be coming shortly. but YouTube is a way to recruit as well, because they see that you're getting your brand out. Branding, Facebook, of course, is huge. So there's always that difference between a Facebook page and a group. So if you're not familiar, there are two ways to brand the club, either by that page or group. The page is more public facing. So it's great for branding the club as, you know, Kiwanis Club. Like this example, I have a picture here, is the Kiwanis Club of Wyoming area. They're posting as the Kiwanis Club of Wyoming area and posting about their invest program. And so that is more public. They can see it. Other people can see it. And groups can be public or private, and it can be used as a great way to communicate within your club. Like my club has a private group page, so we can just do quick communications in there. So that's a tool you can use. But we recommend that you use a Facebook page. And you want to share, and on the Facebook page, obviously you want to make sure you share your club info, pictures about, maybe you have pictures with service leadership program, create events through here. You can set up polls. And then the biggest thing here is a page or a group. You want to make sure you get likes. And that's how the Facebook algorithm works. So I don't work for Facebook, so I can't share what the algorithm is, but generally, you have to understand the algorithm for successful marketing of your club, because it is one of the largest social media platforms. So what really that Facebook algorithm really is, it determines which posts people see every time when they check their Facebook feed. So anytime you refresh your feed, if you're on Facebook, there's an algorithm back there that says, oh, what does Sarah like to see? And then they put it through. So if I don't like for example, for Conrad, say I don't like Conrad's post. I never liked his post. So Conrad's, so the algorithm will take Conrad's stuff and put it to the bottom of my feed. Although I do like Conrad's stuff. So, but it would go, if there's things that you're not liking or you're not replying to, they slowly come down into local on the bottom of your feed. So you want to make sure your information is correct and you're posting often. And when you do this also, you want to also post, once you get this page set up, you want to share it in maybe community groups in your community so they like it as well, on your personal page so people and your friends will like it, because the likes also count for your how the algorithm works. So, and obviously, yes. So the bottom line is make your post very short, very catchy, and just be authentic in your post as a club. And when people reply to you on your page, make sure you reply back, because that's also part of the algorithm. Because if you reply back, then there's more chances that person will see more events from you. So not all posts have to be images. You know, there was a study, Hootsuite, I can't even talk it. Latest research shows that the status post, just on average, like if you wrote something without a picture, on average get a higher engagement, 0.13%. I mean, it's a little bit higher than a post with photo, which is only 0.11%, which is interesting. So the biggest thing you take away from here is when you create the page, make sure you're sharing that page all over the place, because that's the only way it'll get seen. And as a best practice, and I must say this because of Facebook or any social media, you want to make sure that what you post, you're representing the club. So please refrain from distributing any political or religious information or opinions on the club page, because that is a huge thing. And make sure, one of the things that, because the way Facebook works now, if you are a profile, you have different profiles now. Make sure when you comment on things, you have your personal profile on. You're not commenting as the Kiwanis Club of, you know, the main line on different things. Okay, so that's always something to make sure, because Facebook has changed that. Okay, so just to confuse you more, Facebook added what we call Facebook stories and reels. And you see that, here's a picture of it. And usually it's on the top there, the stories and reels. What that really is in the Reels really was introduced about fall 2021. And these started gaining popularity on the feed. The reason is the story is basically right on the top. It's a concept that allows you to tell the story of your day or of a club's day or an event in picture format. So you may post three photos of something and it'll generate looks like a story. Now the stories only exist for 24 hours. So you'll notice that the top there on the stories on your phone or on your device will always change because they're only good for 24 hours. The reel remains the same. Which is basically a quick video, could be a video or a post with different effects. It's almost like it's basically video because Facebook says that half of all time spent on Facebook and Instagram is spent watching a video. So the reels are the fastest growing content on this platform. So if you put out reels, they do stay on there longer. So that is something that we want to do. So we want to share reels. You can share your reels to Instagram as well. So share the Kiwanis story for your club virtually on these stories and reels. When the events come in, if you have a pancake breakfast, maybe you have an animated pancake or you have different things, you can have different photos together. You add them together and then you can maybe put music to it or different effects that Facebook has. It's just more eye-catching. And what's the best is it's right on the top. So that's the best part. So we want your stories. So I just wanted to give you that option as another way to pull in your prospects and your community. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Canva. Canva is a free online graphic design tool. It's free at www.canva.com. And this is great for you to design flyers. And if you're not sure, you're not creative with a Facebook or Instagram post, they already have templates right in here for you to use in Canva, and you just download it and you can post it. Facebook covers for your pages, and it also does PowerPoint presentation. The whole Boost PowerPoint and our flyers are all created in Canva. So there's different ways and you can utilize it. So all for branding, but for recruitment, having nice, clean, professional, creative flyers is key to get the word out. And this tool will help you do that. You don't have to be a graphic designer at all. They already have it for you. So I just had to mention Canva as a tool to help for recruitment. And in the Boost book, which you'll be getting later, probably late tonight, that has an example of a flyer in there that was built in Canva. And I have to say too, if you do have Canva and you're interested in any membership flyers that we have already done, I do have a folder and I can share that with, I have to have your email though in Canva to share it with you. I did this for a club and I kept them out there and they can copy it down, the different flyers in Canva. So just putting that out there. If you are interested in that, I do have a shareable folder with different examples of membership recruitment flyers. Yeah, Barb, if I can get through everything and we have some time, I'll open it up. That works. Which I don't know
if that was a continuing ed we can even do. I mean, I struggle with Canva, but I haven't had time to really mess with it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good question. It's actually, yeah, that's something I was gonna kind of do maybe at DCON.
Yeah, I think that would be very well received.
Mm-hmm. Thank you though. Okay, so let me get to the press release. So press releases are a great way to get information out about your club to the local newspaper, or radio, or TV station. There is a press release right in our Boost book, but right also at this link that Matt posted and is here, they already have a template for you and you just fill it out. And it's really easy if you're not familiar with what a press release would look like. They have simple tools to do so. You don't have to recreate the wheel. So It's a great tool to tell the world about your club. And you can email it. I know like last year, we did our Officer of the Year award, and our club communication director did this, and I wasn't expecting, but we had 2 TV stations come and be, and so I had like my 15 seconds of fame, for that evening to be on the news. So it's a great way for Kiwanis's name to get out. Okay. So online application is a great way. So right now, in the past, usually you can still do this in person. You get the application and you hand it to people, and you have to wait to get their information back, which there's some delay. But now, so we recommend you use an online application so we can, one, capture the data electronically already that we need to put into Kiwanis International, so the secretaries can add the information easily. It's already there electronically. It's just copy and paste. And so Kiwanis International has the application shared out already, already filled out with a fillable PDF. And I'm going to share that with you. And then I'm going to have Matt talk about what Bald Eagle and Nittany Valley are doing for that. But let me just share. Okay. So I'm going to share what the application looks like. So this is right at the Kiwanis website. So you guys see that. So they made it very easy. So you can send this link to a prospective member who said they want to join. So they can just select they're a new member, and and their sponsor's name. They don't have to fill out everything, but they can put their name in. Everything's fillable here. And when they're done, they can print it right off here, and they can sign it, or they can use in PDF. You can have digital signatures that is allowed in Adobe. And so that's something that you can utilize as well. But most people have just filled this out, saved it as a PDF locally. You can download it by using this arrow here, download, or they can print it to a printer and then sign it and then scan it and send it back to the club. And all the information's there. And so there's not that time of, oh, at the next meeting, I'm going to give you an application. You can just do it right away, get them right into the system so they can be Kiwanians immediately. So that is available. But I want to showcase Bald Eagle, Nittany Valley. So Matt's going to show you what their club did and utilizing their club website.
So this is just our regular landing page of our Kiwanis website. Now we have paid for our own domain. So if you actually, when you're online, if you type in Kiwanis of BENV.org, hit enter, it will bring you to this. Now it changes the address at the top. So what we've done is put a become a member link here. So if we're talking to somebody at an event, or we run into someone, or even if we are working with them virtually, we can send them a link. But it's easy for us to say, just go to Kiwanis of BENV.org and click on become a member. So when they do that, they click on that, and it brings up a little bit about what some of the benefits are of being a member. We talk about what our dues are, and then at the bottom we have the membership application built right into the website. Now this is the free website from Kiwanis International that we talked about earlier, so this is an option there. Our webmaster Ricky took care of this. I'm sure he would be able to help anybody if they need it as well. He's very good at it. And we basically put the information that we capture and that we require for our members, and then they can do a digital signature by clicking I accept, and then just a note that I accept this application for membership and agree with bylaws and so on and so forth, date it, and then submit it. On the back end, it goes to whatever you want it to go to. In this particular case, we just have it go to our standard club Gmail address, which is monitored by a few members, including our club secretary, who gets it to the membership committee. The one thing that we don't have on here is we have not captured the ability to pay online yet, only because of the fees involved. But we usually then can either follow up with this individual or track them down if need be. Sometimes they'll pay us in different installments too. So it was just easy to do this and capture their information.
Thanks, Matt. So we just gave you some examples of how you can, interact electronically to get people the application. We don't want people waiting to be Kiwanis. We want to start immediately. So let's, if you want to do something what Matt's club has done, or you can just you send them the Kiwanis app at that link that I have. I'll reshare. You can do so. All right,
And could I just add one thing, Sarah, please?
go for it.
We've designed purposefully our website to mimic our club brochure. We have a club brochure that we use at our events and for meetings with people when we're talking to them about our club. But we've designed it purposefully to be, it's branded the same, it has the same information. That way, then whoever's talking about our club and recruiting has all of the same information. If I go down and talk to someone down the street and Penny goes down and talks to a different person down the street, we're all talking about the same thing, and it's all consistent, which is key.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. All right. Our next topic, our last topic, really, I wanted to, and Matt kind of alluded to it, electronic payments. So they can't use it on the website because there is fees with Stripe. The Pennsylvania district, we utilize Stripe for the district, and that's why you can sign up for conferences and things like that online. But for a club, other payment options that are not a lot of fees, obviously we want to utilize this to have it's easier to have electronic payment options to collect those dues from the new members, maybe even collecting things for fundraisers. If you're selling blueberries, how easy is it to just send a Venmo to somebody or a PayPal? It's really easy. Obviously, those are the popular platforms, Venmo and PayPal. There's also Zelle out there and Cash App. But these are the two main ones. Actually, PayPal owns Venmo, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, just so you understand why we stress this, because we have over 7 million Venmo users and they belong to the age group between 18 and 34. I'll tell you that I know several people that are in that age group that don't even have checking accounts as much, or checkbook. Let's just say they have checking accounts but no checkbook, because no one writes checks anymore. Everything's electronic. So when they pay dues or when they want to pay for something, it's always a Venmo or a PayPal. So again, keeping in mind who our target audiences are, we want to make sure that we can provide that payment, in our target. Yeah. So just so you understand, PayPal, what the difference between these two, generally they're both owned by PayPal, as I said, but PayPal is by far the more robust, secure, and safe option for processing online payments. To be honest, there's more security around that. Venmo has security, but there's some things that you have to do. The really big difference is Venmo allows you to use emojis, giving you that emoji experience in Venmo for their unique services. PayPal does not. It's a straight, I'm going to pay you, give me your email, and that's it. For both of these, we recommend that you use a personal, set it as a personal, because if you set up as a business, there are fees involved. And I just wanted to touch on Venmo because it's popular. I just put in our Pennsylvania Kiwanis one at pakiwanis.org, Venmo. You can set it up personal, so you can avoid fees. One thing to note is it can only be associated with one phone number. So if you have a Venmo for yourself, then you cannot set one up for your club. Someone else has to do it that doesn't have Venmo, or you have to set up as a Venmo business. So there's a caveat to that. Also, if you use multi-factor authentication with your checking account, meaning when you go into online on your checking account, this happens to me because I use TD Bank, you go in and you have to, so they know it's me, they send a code to my phone and I put in that code on my phone. Venmo does not like that. So you have to have an account that doesn't have multi-factor authentication, or you have to turn it off. Hence some of the security concerns around that. You want to make sure all your transactions when you do on Venmo are private. You do not want to say public, and I know it's cute to see everybody what they paid, but for security, you want to make sure it's private. You want to change passwords routinely, regardless if you're PayPal or Venmo. And one thing for Venmo, they have ability to, you can send a kind of, like I have a QR code right up there. That's mine. If you want to pay me some money, go ahead, scan that. It's cool. But that goes to me. And usually if someone owes me money, I will send that scanned code in Venmo and they can just utilize that. If I'm out and about, this is great. If you have an event and you have set up like a table of blueberries and somebody just walks up, oh, can I pay you in Venmo? You can pull this up on your phone and they can scan your phone and you get the money. So it's as easy as that. So it's also a nice tool for fundraising, and also a great tool if you are there with somebody who you want the prospect and they're like, I'm ready to pay you, have them scan the Venmo and boom, you have their dues. It's that easy. So that's
Sarah, in the chat, Mary mentioned about possibly using or creating a Google number to attach to a Venmo account, which I think be a great workaround for that.
Yes.
And for anybody that isn't familiar with Google numbers, I've used them before for other situations. It's not in this presentation and I didn't think of it until just now. So Mary, thanks for that. But we might need to add it point, because you could use basically it's a Google service. As long as you have a Google account, you can basically pick and create a phone number for use. It's attached to an app. There is no charge to it. It is all web-based. And for example, you could use that on advertisements. Maybe people don't want to put their their personal cell phone number out there. So you could use that number and it goes to someone's app, or use that here to establish a Venmo account with that. And it's not tied to someone's personal device number. Possibilities are endless with that, because you could even use it as like a mass texting option for club members. And we probably could do a session just on Canva and Google Phones. So or Google Voice rather. I won't take up more time, but
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. Yeah. And that definitely does get, a workaround for the Venmo issue that you can only have one phone number associated with it. So yeah, 100%. And the other last tip I have for Venmo, I will tell you, if you collected a lot of money on Venmo, do not let it sit out there. Transfer that money right away. After a week, that's fine. 1 to 3 days. I just don't, for security. If you do get hacked, that money's gone. So make sure that you're always transferring money back into the bank account for that. It's just a security thing. That's my IT security for you for tonight. My hat. I do this for Drexel. All right. So we will end really with back again. What are we going to be committing to when you're boosting your club? How can you utilize these? Think about what you can commit to. Maybe utilizing these tools. Maybe you're committed for this session that, hey, I'm going to learn about that Google Voice. I'm going to set up a Venmo. I'm going to learn Canva. These are some things that for technology could be a goal for you and your club. So coming soon. We were going to try to do this, but honestly, I'm glad we didn't, because I don't think we would need a whole session, I think, on this tool. Matt and I are working on this online club tool that will be on the website to help you diagnose your club and how you could go about, you know, the different symptoms of your club and really what resources are available for that. You know, if your club is apathetic or your club's not doing any service, you know, it'll take you through a self-diagnosing tool and some possible solutions. So we will get that out soon. So I'm going to end with any questions or concerns for either Matt or I. Looking in the chat if I missed anything, but yes, having a digital signature is important for sure, Barb. Yes, Mary. Yeah, there is a way, and I forgot to mention that in Facebook, if you have a Facebook account for your club and then you get an Instagram account, if you go into the page and go under settings and then select Instagram, it'll, that is how you connect the two, Facebook and Instagram together. So in terms of maintenance, once if I do a post on Facebook, I just check Instagram and it'll go to Instagram as well. So I don't have to log into Instagram, do the same post, the same image. I do it one time and it goes. So that is a great lifesaver for that, time saver for that. And Facebook and Instagram are connected. So, and it allows you to do that from Facebook. Okay. Other questions? Okay. I'm going to turn it back over to Matt.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Finished right on time. So we were glad that everyone was able to make it this evening. And if you have any follow-up thoughts, you know how to reach us by now. And really, as you go through this, you have a lot of fun with it. You know, you can have you really get going down a rabbit hole when you start looking at some of this stuff. And it really does benefit. It becomes convenient. And anymore, everybody's about how easy it can be. If we make it too hard, they'll probably just forget it and move on. But this way we can make it easy and convenient for everybody to join Kiwanis and serve our communities. So that concludes our Membership Mondays in May. Thank you all, especially our 4-time guests. Some of you are on here. We really appreciate that. Any suggestions for new continuing education that Sarah and her team are putting on, please let her know. You can find her contact information at pakiwanis.org, as well as stay tuned there for upcoming ones. And Sarah put her email address also in the chat. Thank you. So we'll let you go. Have a great evening and have a very safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.